Why living on Mars is a terrible idea. Imagine this, you wake up one morning, still a bit tired and groggy from the night before, you get out of bed, you put on your flip-flops, grab a cup of coffee and go outside to get some fresh air. You open the door, you step outside and suffocate to death. The air in your lungs is pulled out, your eyes pop out of their sockets and your warm cozy apartment starts freezing as the room temperature quickly goes from 20 degrees Celsius to minus 62 degrees Celsius in a matter of seconds. How is this possible, you think to yourself? Well, you forgot that you were one of the first people to colonize Mars and it seems that you haven't quite gotten over your usual morning routine back on Earth. I know this is a bit of a far-fetched scenario, but it might become a real problem sooner than you'd expect, as our little comfortable planet slowly turns into a non-designated waste container. This idea has been discussed over and over in the past few years as global warming starts to take a toll on humanity. Many people are trying to come up with solutions on how to slow it down, some are trying to figure out how to prevent it, while others think that we should ditch our planet altogether. In my humble opinion, that might not be the best of ideas, but who am I to contradict the richest man alive and possibly the strongest advocate of space colonization, Ellon Musk?
This is Ellon Musk.
Yes, you heard me right. Ellon Musk, the founder of Tesla and SpaceX, is dumping millions of dollars into developing the pathways of interplanetary colonization. This 21st century Christopher Columbus is planning to send humans to colonize Mars at some point in the next 30 years and wants to build a city on Mars with 1 million inhabitants by the year 2050. As ambitious and extravagant as that sounds, living on the red planet might not be as fun or bearable as he tries to put it. So here's a list of reasons why you wouldn't like to live on Mars. First of all, although the red planet might look like a regular desert, and you know for a fact that deserts are more often than not as hot can get, you might be surprised to find out that the average temperature on Mars is about minus 62 degrees Celsius or minus 79 degrees Fahrenheit and can get as low as minus 126 degrees Celsius during winter. Yes, Mars has also 4 seasons just like Earth, but don't expect it to get much hotter during the summer, as the highest temperature ever recorded on Mars is about 21 degrees Celsius. That and the lack of gravity and oxygen are the key differences between a regular Earth desert and Mars. You see, the gravity on Mars is about 38% of the Earth's gravity and the air on Mars is composed of mainly CO2. You know, that thing that humans can breathe but plants love? Well, that would make Mars ideal for plants if you don't take into account the lack of water and heat, because there doesn't appear to be any water on the surface of Mars, aside from the large dry ice mass situated on either poles of the planet. Even if that ice is made out of water, it is a tad bit useless if we don't find a way to process it into drinkable water. What Mars and Earth deserts have in common on the other side are the huge dust storms that tend to happen every now and then, although the ones on Mars tend to be much more massive and can last weeks or even months. For example, a large dust storm on Mars, nearly twice the size of the United States, covered the southern hemisphere of the red planet in early January 2022, leading to some of NASA's explorers on the surface hitting pause on their normal activities. You don't see that happening here on Earth too often, and if you're like me, you probably don't like to find your house buried deep beneath the surface by a random dust storm when you wake up in the morning. If that wasn't enough to convince you not to jump on Elon Musk's one-way train to Mars, maybe the high chance of cancer might make you choose a different residence, as the solar radiation level on Mars tend to get a little bit too strong for our sensitive human skin. You see, Mars also lacks the magnetosphere that protects Earth. The average natural radiation level on Mars is 24 to 30 rads per year. This is about 40 to 50 times the average on Earth. Therefore, the rate of skin cancer might skyrocket among Mars residents. That enough sounds awful, and we haven't even discussed the terrible psychological side effects that living on Mars would cause. Think about it, you are literally stranded on a cold, hostile planet with no chance of ever returning to your family and friends here on Earth. You are always confined to a spacesuit or a capsule, outside of which you would suffocate in a matter of seconds. The air is cold, the water is scarce, the sunlight gives you cancer, and the smallest error in the life support system might mean the end of you and your fellow Martians. All of that combined would probably put a lot of stress on our fragile human minds. If you think that can't be the case, just ask yourself, why is there nobody living at the North Pole? A place just as harsh and secluded. Aside from Santa Claus and a few scientists doing research every now and then, nobody volunteers to live over there. So why would living on Mars be more appealing than that? We barely covered a fraction of the reasons why living on Mars would be a terrible idea. Imagine what it would be like to play Minecraft but only in the Nether. There is not a lot to do, but there sure are a lot of things that can kill you. As some last thoughts on this video, why shouldn't we try to make our planet a little bit more habitable instead of trying to ditch it altogether and inhabit Mars? Wouldn't that be nice? Well, I personally think it would, so therefore you should probably go and plant some trees.